It's time for the Las Vegas Sports Line. Brought to you by the Westgate Las Vegas, home of the world's largest race and sportsbook and the Super Contest.
Money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
Presented by WagerTalk.com.
All right, here we go. It is the Tuesday edition of the Las Vegas Sports Line. I'm Dave Cokin. Happy to have you with us. It's our Superbook USA Tuesday edition. That means Jeff Sherman will be along in a little bit. We'll go behind the counter with Jeff and check out some new stuff that's up at the Superbook. NBA over and under win props are up. EPL season points over and unders are up. Excuse me, I'm just texting somebody. And what else is up? Broncos-Falcons Hall of Fame game. The Wyndham Championship. Cool stuff. Anyway, before we do that, we'll talk about what's happening with the trade deadline. And the answer is nothing. Nothing. It's going to be crazy tomorrow because tomorrow's the last day. It's going to be insane tomorrow. The only deal that I've seen today that's been consummated was a minor deal in terms of the, it wasn't a minor league deal, but a minor deal in terms of importance. David Phelps being added to the Cubs bullpen, the journeyman right-hander, landing with yet another team. He has been around both leagues, to put it mildly. Look, the Cubs are still trying to get things done as far as fixing their bullpen. At this point, they really can't go to Pedro Strop with any confidence, so they're going to try different pieces and hope they can figure something out for the end of the game. Craig Kimbrell hasn't exactly been money in the bank. Cubs are struggling with their bullpen, so they're hoping to maybe catch lightning in a bottle with the veteran Phelps, who knows how to pitch, and if he's healthy, can be a plus asset. So right now, at this point, we're kind of left with talking about who might get traded and who the prospects are that everybody's hot for. Look, the Yankees are in the market for some help, but it appears as though everybody wants Deivi Garcia, who is a very high-end pitching prospect, and the Yankees probably don't want to part with him. I mean, he's just too good a prospect. The Yankees have a very good team as it is. Do they need help? Yeah, I think they do. I think the Astros are a better team, and the Astros are probably going to help themselves with something else at the deadline. It sounds like the Astros are going after another pitcher. But if I'm the Yankees, I don't know if I part with Deivi Garcia. He's just too high level a prospect. Who else? Whit Merrifield is very much in the trade talk buzz zone right now. Royals second baseman / right fielder, more than likely second baseman. And there are definitely some teams who could use Merrifield, who's really blossomed with the Royals the last couple of years. Now, he's not a kid by any means, so he's not a guy I look upon as a long-term gain for whoever gets him. But right now, he's a star. And for a contending team, maybe a team that needs a leadoff hitter who can play either second or right, but preferably second, Merrifield is an absolutely great fit. So I think he could be on the move, and the Yankees, the Royals might be able to get something of value for him. Trevor Bauer, I don't know. I think Bauer is probably going to stay where he is with the Indians. By the way, he did get fined for his exploits over the weekend. He is not being suspended. Yasiel Puig, who is one of the most enigmatic guys in baseball. Puig does have a world of talent, but he is just an average player. But the fact is, he's another guy who fits that lightning in a bottle realm, if you will. He can get very hot. And he's attractive to some teams. And, his playoff experience is not bad, and the fact that he's had some good performances in the playoffs. The Braves could very well be interested, particularly with the injury to Nick Markakis. Markakis is going to be out for a while, and Puig might be a guy they're looking at. Certainly the Reds have him available. Hunter Pence, who's had, to me, what is a remarkable year for the Texas Rangers, because if ever there was a guy who looked like he was completely shot, done, at the end of last season, it was Pence. And he's done really well for the Rangers, so There's a veteran that probably wouldn't cost a whole lot. It's not like the Rangers are going to get a top prospect for him. The Padres apparently are still interested in Noah Syndergaard. They have reportedly offered multiple major league players for Syndergaard. I don't know who they are. Manny Margot is widely assumed to be one of them. I don't know. I have a feeling the Mets, unless the Mets really get a big package, I have a feeling they're going to keep Syndergaard. They're going to keep Stroman. And they're obviously not trading DeGrom. They did trade Vargas, who they don't care about. I think they would be amenable to trading Zach Wheeler, but I don't think they'll get what they think Wheeler's worth. So they might just hang on to him. I think the Mets are kind of looking at 2020 and not going into teardown mode, and that's really not a bad idea. Look, they're not a bad baseball team. Okay, I know things haven't gone well this year. The bullpen has been a train wreck. They can't catch the ball. But if you look at that roster, particularly with what is still a very good group of pitchers, I didn't even mention Steven Matz, who at the back end of a rotation is not bad. And then you factor in Alonso, who's an emerging superstar. I think they still believe Rosario's best days are ahead of them. Brandon Nimmo, hopefully healthy next year. It's not completely far-fetched to look at the Mets roster and say, boy, that's a team that can make a move next season. So I wouldn't be completely averse to the Mets just kind of standing pat and keeping their pieces in place, playing out the string this year and hoping for better things in 2020. Ken Giles, we don't know what his status is. The Toronto closer has an elbow issue. Who's going to trade for him? He might be healthy the rest of the year. He might not be healthy. So, in effect, the Blue Jays would have to give him away. I actually think they could get more for Daniel Hudson at this point. Daniel Hudson's having a really good season. He's a hard thrower. He's finally staying healthy. And Hudson might not be your closer, but for a team that's looking for a 7th or 8th inning guy, I think you could do worse than Daniel Hudson. Veteran guy, he could be a plus for somebody. Anyway, the explosion will come tomorrow, maybe tonight, and I would think definitely tomorrow, as tomorrow's the final day before the deadline, and that's going to be the end of it, by the way. There's no more August waiver trades. That has been done away with. So this is a new experience for every team in Major League Baseball, and I'm not sure everybody knows how to handle it yet. I wouldn't. I'd be a little baffled as to what the best mood is if I were a buyer or a seller. It should be exciting tomorrow. Meanwhile, exciting tonight. Let's take a look at some of the action as we go to... Oh, wait a minute. Let's look back at last night first. I almost forgot. Another big grand slam keys our selection for the star of the night.
It's the Las Vegas Sports Line's Star of the Night.
There it goes! A no-doubter! See you later! Anthony Rendon slams his way to a 6-2 Nationals lead.
Oh, that was big. Grand Slam 2-2 goes to 6-2. Nationals get it done against the Braves, and it gets a little bit closer in the National League East. We got a race going on. The Braves have some injury problems. Nationals are heating up. Phillies maybe have a chance to do some damage still, although I don't know if they're consistent enough. Leads us into Tuesday's MJ Christensen 4-4.
1, 2, bring it to the 4.
Put them fours up. Put the fours up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sports Line's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
And we started off with the second game of this big Braves National Series. Julio Teheran on the mound for Atlanta tonight. He'll go against former UNLV star Eric Fedde. This game opened with the Nationals a 120 favorite, but not surprisingly, Atlanta is now a small favorite, about 110 in that area. Look, they're winning games with Teheran on the mound. He's pitching well. I think a lot of people, and I'll put myself in this group, expected a regression from Teheran, who can have control problems at times and really needs to have that slider working or his fastball becomes very hittable. But the fact is, Tehran has maintained his good pitching, and at this point, I think you're just going to mark him down as a guy who's probably going to throw a good game for the Braves. Eric Fetty is not going to go long for the Nationals. He's basically a 5-inning guy. The Nationals are hoping to get through the Atlanta order twice with Fetty, and then they hand it off to the questionable bullpen. And make no mistake, it is a questionable bullpen for Washington. So the Nationals need to get to Tehran early if they expect to have a good likelihood of winning this ball game. I don't disagree with the line move on Atlanta. I think some of the aspects favor them tonight. But one thing to still remember, the Braves are a bit shorthanded with Swanson out and Nick Markakis out as well. Their lineup not as good as you would normally assess it to be. We move on to the Cubs and Cardinals. And Ralph Michaels provided a nice chart today. If you follow him on Twitter at Cal Sports, you'll have this information. And it was teams off a day off. So in other words, Cardinals didn't play yesterday. They were off a day off. And I mention that because there is some significance. The St. Louis Cardinals have been the worst team in baseball this year when playing after a day off. Only 3-12 on the season. So that doesn't bode particularly well for them facing the Cubs tonight. What might bode better for them is the fact that Adam Wainwright has been kind of a Jekyll Hyde this year. The ugly Wainwright has shown up on the road on a consistent basis. The good Wainwright has been in evidence at home. Cubbies go in, not playing good baseball on the road. Nevertheless, the Cubs are drawing the action in this game. It opened 108, or thereabouts. It's now mostly 120s. I guess I don't disagree with that. I know Wainwright's got the home road disparity, but the fact is, he's just not that good at this point, and the Cubs' offense is one that might be able to get to him. You, Darvish, hang in there, buddy. That's the byword with Darvish, and one good thing for him, he's had good control lately. This was a big issue for Darvish early in the season. He's gotten past it. In fact, his control's been excellent of late. He's not beating himself. It makes it tougher for the other team to beat him. Good matchup tonight at Fenway. We'll have more on this game later on in our Joe's Angle of the Day. But this is one of the marquee matchups tonight. I saved the Astros-Indians for the marquee matchup, which we'll talk about later on with Marco D'Angelo. But this would probably be the second most attractive pitching matchup on the board. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Rays. David Price will throw for the Red Sox. And I'll give you a stat that involves Price later on in the show. Charlie Morton is clearly the ace of the Tampa staff now, particularly with Glasnow having a setback. He's going to be out till September. Blake Snell is out till September. This team is going to have to get number one starts out of Charlie Morton on a regular basis. It's a huge game tonight. The Rays are a half game ahead of the Red Sox. They're just behind Oakland. So it would be for the first non-playoff spot. These are big games now as we head toward August. And this is a really big series between the Rays and Red Sox that gets underway tonight. And speaking of those Oakland A's, they'll be home against the Milwaukee Brewers. Looks like Adrian Hauser will be out there for as long as he can last for the Milwaukee Brewers. Hauser has had a handful of good relief appearances. His performance as a starting pitcher has not been particularly good. Chris Bassett will pitch for the Oakland A's. I neglected to give the line, by the way, on the on the Rays Red Sox. That is currently Red Sox in the 140 range, a little bit lower than that in some spots. More like 135 if you average it out. The game in Oakland, let's see what the current price is there. Looking at about 125 with Bassett against Hauser. Bassett, very good first time through the lineup for Oakland. After that, not so good. So he's a guy who needs to pitch well early. And that appeals to me as a game where you might be able to do something live. If the Brewers get out to a small deficit, might be one of those spots where if you can get a good price, you take a shot with them after Bassett has gone through the lineup one time. One game in progress right now. We're in the bottom of the fifth inning at San Diego. The Padres jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but most of that lead has evaporated. It's now Padres 4, Orioles 3. Padres are batting in the bottom of the fifth with a man on first and nobody out in that ball game. And we had some long ball being played by the Padres. The amazing young Fernando Tatis Jr. is 19th of the season.